This is my current baking mitt. Let's make a fresh new baking mitt. We're gonna use the Jiffy Mitt pattern from Sewing Parts Online. I also got the Jiffy Mitt pre-cut insulation pieces because sometimes when you're making oven mitts, you're like, is this the right stuff? Is that the right stuff? Regular cotton batting is not gonna work for this project. If you wanna make it easy, just get this little pre-packaged, pre-cut situation. Goodbye, little oven mitt. It's been a good run.
First things first, we need to cut out the pattern, and this actually comes with a wonderful little pattern piece that you can use. You need 2 of these, mirror image, and make sure that if you have a directional print that it's facing the way that you want it to, and then just simply cut it out. Use your scissors to clip into that thumb piece so it's separate from the hand. You can make this pattern using just 2 fat quarters, which is awesome. Now it's time to go to your ironing board and we're going to do a little pressing. The first piece is your binding piece, and you're going to fold that in half lengthwise and press it, then fold each of the edges into the middle and press it again. Now it's time to work on your loop. You're going to fold this one in half lengthwise, then fold those edges into the middle, and then once you have all that done, fold it in half again so it is completely enclosed. And you're going to sew just a quick top stitch right along the open edge of that loop. Here's what it looks like when it's done. Fold the loop in half and 2 inches up from the bottom on one of your main pieces, clip it in place, and then baste it there so it stays put. Go to where you cut that slit on one of the wrong sides of your main pieces and mark 1/4 inch around the curve, and then connect the dots. This will make it a lot easier to sew. Now place your main pieces pretty sides together, and you're going to sew along the straight edge just about 3/4 of the way up. We're connecting those 2 pieces because now we're going to open them up like a book. Are you having fun yet? Because I totally am. Grab your binding piece and lay the raw edge along the bottom of your main pieces, and you're going to sew in that divot right there. It's about a 1/2 inch measurement. We're connecting the binding, but we're not finishing the binding just yet. Trim off your excess off the edges, and then close your little oven book back up, and you're going to clip around the edges and sew with a 1/4 inch seam allowance the whole way around, and make sure you smile while you do. It totally helps. Take your 2 lining pieces and your oven mitt interfacing, and you need to attach it to this fabric. So if you have basting spray, that's fine. But this one, I just got out the handy dandy glue stick and it worked great. Once you have it stuck, you're going to draw diagonal lines 1.5 inches apart all across your oven mitt, and then sew those lines. Take your time here. You're sewing through a lot of layers. Trim off your excess very carefully and also cut into that thumb hole slit. Remember that time where we marked around the curve with the seam gauge? Do it again, but use a 1/2 inch around that curve. Remember, you're still only working on 1 lining piece. Once you've made it around on the 1/2 inch, I want you to go around the whole thing again on a 1/4 inch seam allowance. We're trying to get that batting to be a little bit thinner. The next step to do that is you're going to trim away some of the batting just around where that 1/4 inch seam is, just to thin it out. Don't cut the red lining piece, just cut the batting. It sounds a little strange, but I promise you can totally do this. Repeat all those steps on your other lining piece and then match them pretty sides together. Now this thing is going to be thick. I would recommend switching your needle at this point to a jeans or a denim needle. It's a size 116 and it can plow through anything. So using a 1/2 inch seam allowance the whole way around your oven mitt, except for the bottom. Leave that open because that's where your hand goes. Grab your scissors and clip into that little area where the thumb meets the hand. This will bake in some extra flexibility. And yes, pun completely intended. Grab your main oven mitt piece and do the same thing on that thumb part. Then it's time to turn your main piece right side out, and you can stick your hand in it to try and push those pieces out a little easier. Once it's right side out, fold the bottom piece about halfway up the oven mitt. And now comes the super fun part where you get to jam all of that lining and batting and all that fun stuff into the main piece. It's going to take a minute, okay? You're literally going to be looking at it like this is never going to work, but persevere because I promise you can do this. Okay, you're on the last step. We're going to fold that binding down so it covers the raw edge, and then all you have to do is hand sew that little binding piece to the oven mitt. I love hand sewing. I think it's super fun. You're just going to slide your needle in and then just grab a tiny piece of that fabric on the binding and then come straight down, and you're going to go back up at a diagonal, go the whole way around, tie it in a knot, and then you've made an oven mitt. You should be super proud of yourself. Now go bake some cookies. Visit Sewing Parts Online to pick up all of the materials needed for this project. Like and follow for more sewing tutorials.